Today in Geneva, we are here welcoming our international colleagues who have come for a procurement workshop. And we are discussing how Giga can help these colleagues to support governments in procuring internet for school connectivity. Giga provides open source solutions in the areas of mapping and modeling, and technical support towards financing and contracting connectivity. Let's hear more from Jaime.
Today we have representatives from 9 UNICEF country offices from Eastern, Southern, and Western Africa. We are working with them on how to advise governments on procuring efficiently school connectivity. I have learned so far that a lot of our colleagues in UNICEF country offices have been working very closely with government to do this, and that UNICEF is strategically positioned to deliver support into procuring connectivity at scale.
In Namibia, we have made great progress in making sure that we have all the schools in the countries connected. But we are at the starting stage whereby the Ministry of Education have basically showed or have taken ownership of this project. And also where the Executive Director of the Ministry of Education has really made it clear that they are on the table and they want to make sure that this project works. So they came up with a committee. So basically a committee was forced in the country to advance the agenda of Giga, and we have a target of having 2,000 schools mapped using real-time basically tools by the end of 2024. So this is more or less what the country is doing. And in terms of the senior management from the country office perspective, we want to see this project succeed. So as a result, we are trying to help the government in all the ways that we can.
The infrastructure is perfect and good. However, what we are seeing the lack of is capacity. Capacity to be able to make sure that we give and roll out good quality connectivity to the schools, and make sure that the services are being consumed by the students, or that the students are actually using the connectivity that is rolled out. Our challenge was mainly accessing and also mapping out the very remote schools. Namibia is the second most sparsely populated country in the world. That means that at most we have about 3 people per square kilometer. So this is a very vastly populated country. It's a large country. And we have areas where infrastructure development does not make sense for investors to bring to, because they look at the return of investment to bring infrastructure to some of these remote areas, like your fiber backbones to bring connectivity. And so we find it very hard to bring connectivity to very remote, hard to reach areas. However, we are positive that through the Giga support, the capacity that is there, we will be able to see this project through. We have so far done the mapping of more than 2,000 schools. We are busy piloting the real monitoring tool in schools currently as we speak. And we are looking forward to the next phase of developing the financing models so that government can find means and ways to finance the scale and the rollout of connectivity to all more than 2,000 schools in the country.
I guess for me, the main challenges that I have faced had to do with collecting the data, the GPS data for each school. We had about 7,000 schools, and it was a major challenge to obtain it. Luckily, another donor had the information, because the information that was available at the Ministry of Primary Education especially was not usable. So we had to go to work with a World Food Program so that they can help us obtain the GPS information for all the schools. That allowed us to sort of provide the information. Of course, it was lengthy because we had to connect the name of a school with the codes of each school, and at the time it was not really done. So one of the challenges dealing with the schools. The other challenge was also to obtain the information on infrastructure, GPS information, and the cost, how much it would cost to connect a school. That was really difficult to obtain that information. That also was lengthy, but we ended up having the information, although it was a bit lengthy, but it was good. I guess everything is contingent upon the availability of infrastructures, the availability of equipment, and all that requires a lot of resources, because at the moment we have been able to collect about 50 schools, but 50 schools out of 7,000 is a lot, so we need additional resources to sort of be able to connect the school, because without infrastructures, without equipment, there's not much we can do. The other thing is to make a clear linkage and show communities and other donors the advantage of doing connectivity, because for us it's an element that serves as an enhancement for learning.
Giga has created a set of tools that helps governments to procure connectivity. So first of all, we created guidelines for governments to develop the terms of reference, the contracts, the service level agreements that they would need to implement their procurement processes. We have also developed some guidelines and an implementation tracker so that when governments contract connectivity, they are able to monitor the internet service providers and make sure that they deliver the connectivity up to the standards that they have contracted. So it's very important for us to make sure that schools are connected to the internet up to the standards that we have defined, that the schools are receiving the connectivity that is contracted, and also that the installation is done safely for children.
So in terms of challenges, some of the challenges we've faced in terms of connectivity have been power stability. We connected 63 schools that were UNICEF supported, but the biggest challenge we had was power stability, and also that we didn't have a proper M&E framework in our contracting that we've now learned from this particular training. We could have done that better. But the government is also very, very, very committed to this. The service provider was very committed to this. UNICEF was very committed to this. And we're in a space where the 63 schools have also been more or less used as a pilot for the scale-up that now government has taken up. The contract management issues we had, we've also formed more or less of a committee that's more or less in looking into what schools, what kind of connectivity are we getting from the schools, how stable is it. So there's a whole monitoring framework around that involves us, aligned with government colleagues, and also the service provider. So I can say it's been very good work in progress, and we are more or less at a space where the lessons that have been learned can be carried forward for the scale-up.
Giga is working with UNICEF Supply Division, who has a ton of experience in procuring services and products for children, so that we can create a structure that would allow UNICEF to contract school connectivity on behalf of governments. Let's say a government wants to connect 10,000 schools to the internet. We would be able to offer those services on their behalf so that procurement of the connectivity is efficient, but also so that we can ensure that the schools are connected up to the standards, the implementation are done correctly, and that at the end, every dollar that is spent in school connectivity means that that dollar is translated into gigabytes that a children is receiving at the school.
So recently we've been dealing with the World Bank to receive potentially some funding from them, and the Giga team has been really helpful in conducting these negotiations and providing us with elements and learnings from other countries. So that has been very, very helpful. Now the plan is to go ahead with the mapping of schools and of the infrastructure in the country, as well as the connectivity solutions, and then providing the World Bank with the whole Giga procurement toolkit. And then eventually to go and implement the connectivity in schools and hopefully benefit from the scaling up tools that Giga is developing for the procurement through UNICEF.
UNICEF Kenya has been working with the Ministry of Education, Ministry of ICT to connect schools. So far we've been able to connect over 600 schools to internet through 7 service providers and also a government service provider called ICT Authority. We've also been lucky to connect over 60 schools in the refugee camps through influencing the government to connect those schools to internet that is sustainable. We faced a few challenges here and there throughout the connectivity. Our biggest challenge has been monitoring school connectivity after it has been done. Also, the other challenge is monitoring the quality of service during the connectivity phase of the project implementation. With the Giga team, we've been able to deploy the school monitoring app in different schools, and we're able to get metrics of usage and daily bandwidth the school are receiving. And this has enabled us to know whether we are receiving value for money and how the schools are using the internet, which school is using and which is not using.
Giga is uniquely positioned to help governments and internet service providers to connect schools. We are a data-based evidence. We help map the schools all around the world, understand which schools are unconnected. That information is essential in order to understand how could we use better technologies to connect the schools all around the world. We are helping the demand of school connectivity, which is basically governments looking to connect their schools, with the offer, which is the suppliers who have like the technology solutions that can connect those schools. By catalyzing the market, by aggregating the demand from different governments to connect schools with the offers from suppliers, we are able to leverage economies of scale, reducing the price of the gigabyte for the children. And in that sense, we have an economic opportunity that helps bring all the schools connected in the world. We are working hardly to achieve our goal of connecting all the schools by 2030.
By supporting Giga, you are one step closer to ensuring that every school is connected to information, opportunity, and choice.